Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of Controlled Chaos with your wonderful hosts, Evan Sawyer, Carl Hoffman, and the dopey one, Keegan Sawyer. Appreciate everyone joining here. It's definitely been a lot of fun. Pretty excited about this. We're going to continue on our discussion of different spells. Some of the new ones, new interesting spells that we see from the uh, new 900-page book, Crown of the Oathbreaker, bringing along some dark and chaotic times in this book. So excited to get back to playing that one at some point. But we're going to go ahead and bring along some spells, talk about realistically how we think they compare to a lot of the other spells that we see from a lot of the other material. And then, we'll do some comparisons, get the flavor, and kind of see what happens. So I think last week we had Disable Construct, which we found didn't really have a lot of, I'll say, delight from our current campaign. We don't really battle too many constructs. Hopefully our DM doesn't watch this because going up against golems or other things would probably suck, but we'll leave it be at that. What we're going to look at today is something specific for the cleric and paladin, a bonus action casting time called Fortify Soul. So the range itself, verbal semantic components, it's an 8-hour duration, which is pretty cool. Again, classes for cleric and paladin. But this is going to allow us to resist influences on our soul through our unbreaking faith. Think about that, like that pure faith, solemn vow of just not giving into temptation. And with that, we are gaining immunity to any effect that would influence our soul, such as the magic jar or a hag's nightmare haunting ability. Actually, quite interesting because we may have ran into a couple of hags, one, two, I don't know, in our first campaign for Storm King's Thunder, but this is actually pretty interesting. Before I give my thoughts, Carl, let's start with you. What are we thinking about this fourth level Fortify Soul Chastity Belt right
Well,
on a paladin or cleric stuff?
obviously first time, but it is very play-esque. Then that struggling to spoon behind.
Yeah, yeah. I'll Keegan, what's your thoughts? Do you agree with Carl? Do you disagree? What are you thinking?
It makes me think of, yeah, when I first read it, I'm like, I mean, for a fourth level spell, well, first off, when I heard bonus action, I'm like, awesome, bonus actions for clerics. They got a few good ones. This could be another good one. We'll see. But then I got thinking, like, bonus action for something like this, right? Like Magic Jar, high level necromancy spell. I don't know if it's going to be used, in battle. At least I haven't gone up against it, right? But it got me thinking, though, in Crown of the Oathbreaker, if they had to specifically make this spell for Crown of the Oathbreaker, what are we getting ourselves into, right? So it makes me think of, all right, normal settings, maybe not so much. Crown of the Oathbreaker, I mean, this could be nuts, right? I mean, Warwick, campaign one, our original campaign, I'm starting to use the dream spell and stuff like that. So I have an idea of, nightmare haunting abilities and stuff like that. But I don't know. I mean, maybe that whole sanity thing, right? Maybe the sanity and all that plays into this, and maybe we're actually going to need this a little more than we think. I don't know, right?
It's interesting. I will admit, just from knowing what I know about Crown of the Oathbreaker, is DMing that campaign, I could see that this is going to come into some. It could be some add a lot of benefit to the clerics and paladins. What I find really interesting about this is that it's self. What I would actually love to change about this is that you can select a person and maybe you reduce the time but the duration, but actually honestly I'd probably change the reign to one person that you can touch and do that, because when I look at a cleric and paladin, I look at their divine message of trying to help others and be the light within the dark. So I almost see that it's great that they want to save themselves, and certainly paladins and clerics have a lot of utility to do so. I would almost want to change this to anyone, um, any willing creature that you can touch, and then that I think for me would give it a little bit more oomph, kind of like Death Ward, to an extent. But that's what I'd like to change about this. But knowing what I know about Crown of the Oathbreaker, yeah, this one, regardless of range, this could come in handy at some point. Actually, it will. I'll just tell you, it's going to come in handy.
It made me think of your aura, Griswold's aura. That's what it kind of reminded me of, but it doesn't. And it's a past it individual. I feel like this better as an aura or
That's an interesting one. Would you, if it were an aura, would you almost say that it's that they get like a, I guess, a saving throw or something, or maybe it's advantage on being haunted or something like that?
yeah. I mean, there are plenty of ways to balance it, but that's a good way.
Yeah, so one thing, I'm gonna pull up one thing here. So one of the things that for the hag's haunting ability, basically they can nightmare, they can form a nightmare and they haunt your dreams. They could do a handful of things that really cause a lot of problems. And the interesting thing is that you don't get benefits of a long rest. You can lose max HP and so on and so forth. And there's a lot of interesting things about hags to where if they actually kill you by doing this, they can take your soul, which is really really interesting. um, Garrett actually messed with us for a couple of sessions where we think he had a hag haunt our dreams, and I think four or five of us weren't able to get long rest, and then Carl decided to do a one shot with Death Giants. So get ready, everyone. If you haven't DM'd, don't piss off any other players because they'll use some weird shit against you. Haven't heard of Death Giants before, but Carl did a pretty good job at messing with us on that one. For the magic jar, though, I am not as familiar with this spell. Some of you may be scoffing at this point, but maybe let's take a second to review this. So, sixth level necromancy, um, and just being able to actually nullify a sixth level spell with a fourth level spell. That's not bad. That's not bad. Um, so basically, your body falls into a catatonic state as your soul leaves it, enters the container used for the spell's material component. While your soul inhabits the container, you are aware of your surroundings and stuff. You can't move, but you could project your soul up to 100 feet out of the container, either returning to your living body and ending the spell, or attempting to possess a humanoids. Okay, so basically, this is where you have your homunculus, or you have your like I'm thinking Pact of the Chain. You get like a pseudo dragon or a little goblin, or whatever the case is. You use magic jar, put yourself in your soul in the jar, and then you take it around and try to basically possess someone else's body, like another high level character or something like that. That's actually pretty interesting.
But
That's
wait,
that's pretty
if
cool.
Magic Jar makes you catatonic, how do you cast spell?
So the other spell, the we're talking about this one here, Fortify
Yeah,
Soul. So no, basically, if someone were to use magic jar and they were to then try to possess your body with the magic jar spell,
duration. You have to precast it. Precast it.
yeah,
You kind of have to know what situation.
yeah, someone's trying to mess with you. Maybe some of these hags have been haunting you. Yeah, the magic jar thing is actually really interesting because that could happen at any point. You just never know, and it's a higher level spell, but damn, that kind of sucks. It just makes me really want to do that to you guys in Crown of the Oathbreaker and steal your soul.
And-
Not gonna lie.
right.
Is there anything so is there anything outside of this? So we're Carl, you've mentioned the Paladin's aura, which I think is a really interesting comparison. I automatically think of like Death Ward, but this is certainly not about stealing souls. That's more about, keeping you alive. Do we think of anything that's similar to Fortify Soul? And can we compare it to that? I can't think of anything right offhand that's like,
Mm-mm. No,
you
this
know,
is
The
this is
two
unique.
are
yeah, yeah. You know, at that level, it seems like those are fairly similar. But that's really interesting. Um, but yeah, definitely for the people that watching, Fortify Soul may be slightly niche, but if your DM's starting to mess with you and throw in some hags or whatever the case here, take a look at this, see if they'll let you add this, even if you're not running Crown of the Oathbreaker. You know, this could be something that could be super beneficial. Although, again, as Carl mentions here, that, you know, this 8 hour duration, pretty good. I'm probably going to be casting this late at night, you know, prior to sleep. You know, hopefully you don't see a hag haunting your dreams or something like that. But you know, maybe utilize this, and hopefully it'll help you out against, you know, some of these other influence, which would be really interesting. But I have to admit, though, it really makes me think of just a large, like, divine chastity belt on a cleric or paladin. I'm almost positive that if Griswold were to cast this, it'd literally be a chastity belt, and he would just walk out just wearing this glowing
I think you might be
undergarments.
confused on what your soul is. I'll leave it alone.
That's what he
You
calls
know,
it.
oh,
What?
there's so many jokes, but I'll leave that one be, I guess.
I got one for you though.
Um,
So the first
well,
the first sentence of this reads, "Through your unbreaking faith." I see this as a definite RP type thing, right?
That's what I said. That was my first
Like,
statement.
what if you're an Oathbreaker paladin, or what if you're a cleric struggling with a decision his deity has bestowed on him, something that we'll likely see in Crown of the Oathbreaker, right? How does that factor in? I feel like that is an awesome way for there to be communication between the DM and the player to say, hey, this might not work the way you want it to.
Or the reverse of it, the DM can
Yeah.
later take them and says, listen, that Gabriel or here, I want to commit myself fully to you and your even maybe give or something.
I would agree with you on that. I think this is a really, really fun RP spell, and I would definitely play into it. I think that having those interactions with the deities and really playing into either someone thinking they're going to break their trust, break their faith, or really just trying to pull it back. I think this is super interesting. And Carl, I completely agree. Giving it a little bit of maybe a little bit of a boon, kind of like I think of this like maybe like a higher level spiritual guardians. It's not gonna prevent damage, but it's kind of like that guarding faith that's just surrounding this area, surrounding your soul. And I would love I would what I would do as a DM is I would 100% play into either the pros or con of what would happen with our deity. But if it were to be cast, I would 100% ask someone to describe what everyone is seeing. As you all know, if Griswold were to cast this, it'd be apparently a divine chastity belt. That's for a lot of reasons that we don't have time to discuss right now, but I'll leave it be. You could always reach out to us and ask if you're really curious. But I would love to see the creativity of how people would cast this. Carl Keegan, I mean, any thoughts on how you would cast this? Ashley, we have a someone else joining here. We're talking about a couple of spells here, and actually a spell from Crown of the Oathbreaker. Um, we're streaming here, just kind of going over a few things. How's it going?
Let
Oh,
me.
Ashley's muted.
Yeah, I forgot my volume was off.
All good, all good. We're talking about a specific spell from Crown of the Oathbreaker, and just giving a little love to it. You want to join in and chat with us?
What are you guys doing?
We're talking about Crown of the Oathbreaker, and specifically a spell that's called Fortify Soul. Do you want to jump in and chat with us and give us your thoughts on it?
Sure. I was reading that. Fortified. I can't read it. Ugh.
Here, I'll zoom in a little bit here. Basically, it's a 4th level spell for clerics or paladins, and a bonus action. And you resist influences to your soul through unbreaking faith. And we gain the immunity to any effect that would influence your soul, such as something like the magic jar or the hag's nightmare ability.
I like how you say basically, and then you just
Yeah. Look, I was gonna get creative about it, and then I said I didn't want to word this wrong, so I just verbatim. So you know what? Potato, potato.
potato, 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 tomato.
It's like this. I'll just read it to you. Easier.
Yeah, here we go. What's your initial thoughts, Ashley? Can you think of anything similar to it? Do you think it's you know you think it lives up to a 4th level spell? What your gut feel?
I don't know if I feel about a 4th level spell of it, but then again, we haven't come across too many that attack us like that, except Roy.
Yeah. For any of you that
That
don't
does
know
make
here
an
on that are
interesting
watching this,
point.
What?
Would
oh,
it save from a sentient object? Oh,
You gain immunity to any effect that would influence your soul.
so as a
I
DM, I'm thinking, okay, that doesn't rid Roy, right? But maybe that gives you a little bit of if you and Roy are going head and keep control.
looks like
so
ooh,
I'll let everyone, everyone watching this stream here, in on a little playback video because I could imagine what would happen. So there was a point in time where
I think you just
Griswold,
make him
my
go back and watch
character,
the episode.
oh, you know what? That's a great point. We'll post it in chat, but basically, someone may have tried to kill another person, their alter ego. You'll have to go back and watch. I'd love to see Griswold casting this on Amber and see what happens. Change the range to any willing creature and see what happens.
It's a little bit of a gray area of the spell, but if I'm DM, I just want
100%. So Ashley, I have a question for you here. So your fortify soul is the range of self, and we all agree here that this is a really interesting spell, where the DM can really lean into the deities and certain things. And one of the interesting things that we talked about is trying to role play this out and how someone would cast this spell, because this is protecting your soul, your being, your person. Griswold would have a glowing, radiant chastity belt when he cast this. If one of your characters were to cast something like this, how would you see yourself casting it? And could you describe that to us? That would be really interesting.
I mean, Althea's not really that chaotic. Or, no one
Let's
really bothers her.
let's just say that she were, and she had to cast this. Let's just say that Griswold's like, hey, I'm casting this on you because someone is trying to steal your soul. What would the party see as some kind of divine energy coming down and protecting Althea?
I'm pretty sure she'd be freaked out. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean, my soul? What do you mean? Why would somebody want that? Go after somebody else, Warwick.
Yeah, Warwick. Definitely Warwick.
it would
I
be
mean,
Warwick.
I feel
I
like
think Warwick wants something else besides her soul.
I mean, listen, it'll get us a lot of things. That's all that matters, right? I'm a trader. I like to make people happy. That's all that matters.
You like to do a lot of things, Warwick, but we'll leave that for people to watch. Go back and watch Chaos Chamber, because we've had a lot of highs, a lot of lows, a lot of backwards discussions, and a lot of forthright interventions of just, hey, we're going to do this for the party, and clean slate. So it's definitely been an interesting ride episode. What were we at, Carl? 95?
Nope.
Holy, yep. Stay tuned for episode 100. We're all going to be doing something crazy. I won't mention anything because I'm pretty sure we haven't figured it out yet, but stay tuned for that.
We should do it in person for 100.
You know what? That might be a good thing. We'll have to see if we can all get together for episode 100. I like that, and we'll all have to dress up. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap this one up here, I suppose. But any final remarks on Fortify Soul? Definitely seems to be an interesting one. Some niche applications, but interesting nonetheless. I think the RP is a little bit. I think the RP is what makes it the 4th level spell. Really, just the opportunity, but that's just me.
My only final thought: presence, what it would look like. So for character, grab it one way, and for
I
it'll
see a
be
chainmail bra.
Chainmail
so
brawl for
like Grizz with the
Althea.
chastity belt. Like it,
Exactly.
Boom.
Pretty much.
basically,
What is
Evan
it,
and
top?
Ashley think exactly alike.
So we're doing topless party and bottomless party all in one. Got it. Okay. Understood.
Where we just went. I like it.
Keegan, your final thoughts on Fortify Soul?
I'm taking it, and I'm gonna cast it. That's all you need to know for now.
Playing a paladin?
Playing a cleric?
Are
I
you?
don't know. Can't remember. Not yet. We'll see. Who knows?
Well, there you have it, folks. Definitely an interesting niche spell, but nonetheless, could be really interesting in your campaigns. Like I said, if you have, if someone's using Magic Jar or a bunch of hags in your campaigns, maybe you take this and try it out. Definitely let us know if you do. Could be really interesting. And I'm really curious and really happy that we've talked about this because I'm 100% going to use Magic Jar on someone in Crown of the Oathbreaker, and it's going to be freaking phenomenal. So stay tuned. With that
Now,
said,
can you imagine if it was Lyra, my bard?
oh my God.
Love it. I'd love it. Fantastic.
Done, and even more done.
It'd
We're
be
doing
like tape across the mouth.
oh my gosh. Yeah, this is just making me wanna role play a whole lot more, but that's a different story. But anyways, all right, everyone. Appreciate everyone joining. Stay tuned for more Controlled Chaos, and come back and watch Chaos Chamber every Sunday around 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do some crazy shit. Right now, we're in a battle with fire giants, and right now, I think it's the pivotal moment of whether we're all going to die or whether we're going to come out on top. Who knows? Apparently, Amric has a plan. Stay tuned though for episode 96, and stay tuned for next Monday around 9 p.m. EST. We'll talk about some more spells. All right, everyone, have fun.